So you've just landed in Aura, and this is your first view. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build your first campaign, and I'm going to show you the tips and tricks that you need to have the most success possible launching your first campaign. So let's give a quick overview of where we're at. On the left, you have our campaign folders. So you can see here, we organize those by active campaigns, paused campaigns, drafts, and archived or deleted campaigns. And then on the right, you have your campaign builder. And so when you first come in, you'll notice you don't have any active campaigns yet. And so you'll see this campaign builder, which is organized into four main windows. You have import leads, which is, hey, who do I want this agent to go target? You have train on company, which is, here's what I want this agent to know about us and our offering. And instructions, here is what I want that agent to go do. Now, that all culminates together to show you previews of exactly how this agent is going to go perform in the wild. So first thing we're going to do is import a lead list. We have two options here. So we can import via Salesforce connection, where you can create a report and you can pull in either leads or contacts, or you can import via a CSV. For this video, I'm going to import via CSV, and I'm going to give Aura a list of VPs of sales. So you can see here, I've got 42 VPs of sales. The important thing when importing a CSV is the main thing that we need in order to do what we do. We need a B2B email in a column that is titled email. If you title it work email, if you title it something else, just change the name of that column so that we can read it appropriately. So now that we have 42 leads in here, let's go to the training section. So you can either click on continue to training, or you can click here on train on company, and you'll see that we automatically pull in information about the company and we autofill all of this information. Now, this campaign might be targeted to a particular industry, a particular persona. By all means, you can tailor this information however you please. You could also, if you have any web pages that are organized for those persona or those industries, you can put that in here and retrain the agent. You can also give us PDF material to retrain the agent. But let's go over the key elements in here and what we need in these elements in order to be successful. So the company name, that's a given, but the overview. So the overview, you can see we've got some information here that basically describes what the offering is. This is what we do, or the service that we provide. It's not meant to get into the value that we provide. It's not meant to go over case studies or any of that information. You can certainly put it in here. But the key thing that we really need in here is ultimately, in a very concrete manner, what is it that you provide on the other side? Now, the next piece are roles and departments. So you and I and everyone under the sun probably knows that a lead list tends to be messy. And so while I might have thought that I've given it a VP of sales list, there might have been a recruiter that snuck in there or an early stage founder. These things happen. And so we created these filters to ensure that the campaign that is goes to the people that it is designed for. So you can see here, we've auto-populated these roles. One of the things that I can do though, if I know that I've got 42 very specific VPs of sales and I want to make sure they all get an email, I can say all roles, or I can go into departments and say all departments. And what that does is it bypasses these filters within the system. Now, this piece here is super important. So Aura operates very, very differently than any of the AI prospecting tools in the space, where we're going to go out and we're going to create a one-to-one view of that individual, their background, all of the things that are happening around them. And we create this really rich context window on their situation. Now, the reason that we can draft these one-to-one killer emails is because we then compare that back to this knowledge base of what is the value that you provide. This is allowing Aura's reasoning layer to answer the simple question of why you and why now. So with these value props, you can see I have a very simple structure here. It's the overall value prop and then a sense for what that value prop actually means. This can also be a great place to put some case study information where you really want to apply how that case study came to life and the value that they saw on the other side. So you'll see here, these are all editable. So like, let's say I didn't want to talk about time saving. I could delete that one for this campaign. I could change them up. I could add more. But let's say this is good for now. Let's go to instructions. So I have given the agent a list of leads. I have told it what it needs to know, and I've now given it a set of instructions. So your agent is set up with predefined instructions. So you don't have to do anything here, but this is where you can get really flexible with how you use the product. There's a few different things that I always tell folks to help them understand how to use the instruction field. One, just talk to it like you would your rep, right? So if this is a list of leads that are heading to a conference next week, you would start the instructions by saying, this is a list of sales leaders that are headed to the Dreamforce conference next month. The reason I want you to reach out to them is to see if they want to grab coffee based on your research. So you're just talking to the rep, talking to the agent like you would a human. It's not prompt engineering where you have to like give it some crazy instruction on the back end. But you'll notice that instructions tend to follow one of the three main categories that we'll put in here. So there's context on the list. So that first example I gave was context, right? These are folks that I want to go meet for coffee at Dreamforce. You could also be extremely flexible with this and say, align it to a first party signal. So these are all folks that have requested a demo, or these are folks that read the following asset, or you could even say these are existing customers. Don't oversell them. They're already customers. Just use your research to remind them why we're valuable. You can do whatever you want in here. That is context. So the next thing would be do's and don'ts. So for do's and don'ts, really simple. You're just setting a rule for, hey, I want you to go do this thing. An example of a rule for something to do could actually be how you want the agent to personalize the email. So the agent's going to go out and it's going to gather loads of research, right? So what you can do in the instructions is you can say, I want you to prioritize these types of research signals because we know that they tend to work better. Now, if you don't know that they work better, you don't have to do that. Let Aura's reasoning run that, and you can see in the previews how it goes and does its thing. So while I continue to update you on how instructions work, I'm going to go ahead and generate the previews. I'm going to keep talking about this. So this takes a second in the background because we're doing loads of research and writing these emails. But you'll notice that there's do's like in the first follow-up email, do the same thing. But the cool thing about do's and don'ts is you can go in and you can set conditionals underneath those do's and don'ts. So how that would look is I could say, if they are a marketing leader, I want you to do the following things, and I want you to not do the following things. I could say, if they are a marketing leader in Spain, be sure to speak to them in Spanish, right? Versus if they're just a marketing leader, just speak to them in their natural language, whatever you want to do, right? Now, we'll default to English here, but you can also have it, say, put in a PS. You'll see I've put some unique instructions in just to orient Aura for this campaign to talk about itself, which is a little bit unnatural for it to do. The last piece here that I'll note is you have this option to disable the trigger requirement. So when you disable the trigger requirement, what that means is it doesn't require what's known as an icebreaker in our vernacular to write an email. We can use either older triggers that aren't necessarily within the last 3 months, or we can just use the traits of the company itself to personalize the email. I find that our agents do a phenomenal job with trigger requirements turned off. So let's say you are reaching out to a persona that doesn't have a rich data footprint. An example of this would be a restaurant, where a restaurant owner doesn't probably have a LinkedIn profile. Turn off the trigger requirement and you will be surprised by how much depth Aura's research is going to do to personalize these emails one-to-one. Okay, so you can disable the trigger requirement, see what these emails look like. You can have it on, see what the emails look like. You'll see here, we showcase across the email list, here is the enrichment layer. So we uploaded 42 leads, 100% of them we could find a profile on. Of those, 83% of those matched a buyer profile. So they were in the right department, they had the right role. And 83% of those also had a relevant trigger that we could use to do outbound with. So you'll see here, we've got Sloan Brown over at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. And you'll see here the research that it's pulling in to go write this email. You'll see the reasoning of how it went to go write the email. In the event that there's multiple pieces of research here, you'll see those load in as well. And you can also read through the reasoning to see how the agent thought through reaching out, and then you can see how it comes to life. So, in this example, Sloan saw Russell Boning was named chairman. Seems like this puts more emphasis here. So maybe I don't love this example. What I can then go do is jump back into instructions and give it instructions to say, hey, in the event that there is a new chairman put in place, that is typically not relevant to why we're reaching out. So we're just training the agent on how to speak in the following scenarios. So let's pull up another example. So what I like to do is I like to go through all of the examples to see what I like, what I don't like in the emails, so that I can adjust the instructions and the value props to make sure that we are delivering the best content possible. And if you need help with this, by all means, reach out to our team. We have a nice little chat window here where you can get a hold of us. But you'll see here, so there's a product review article about that company. And so you can see it's pulling in that product review to kick off the email itself. So we've got a few different options here. Now, one of the things that I'll note is how the sequences are designed. I typically get questions about this. So we are going to kick off an initial email. We're going to kick off some follow-up emails. And what we're then going to do is we're going to pause and we're going to assign a listening agent. Now, you might have come up in the world of sales in a world where we send 700 emails to somebody until they respond. By all means, don't do that. The reality is after that third email, the likelihood that they respond starts to plummet, and the likelihood that they mark you as spam starts to go through the roof. And so what we do instead is we assign a listening agent to look for a good reason to follow up and reach back out, or a new signal from within your own best practices data that says, hey, we actually should have taken this approach with this group to reach out. So we have a few different options here for how it's going to follow up, but it allows us to set up and orchestrate a pretty solid campaign. So the next thing I want to show you is the approve and continue. So it's not a scary button. It's not going to start sending emails. Instead, it's going to set you up to assign inboxes to the campaign. So in this case, I've got my primary email set up for the campaign, and I've got the modes that I want to use for the campaign. So let's say I don't want to use my email. I want to use henry@lavender.ai. I can easily just insert him, remove myself from that campaign, and then I have my modes. So for modes, you'll see this is the fully autonomous mode where Aura is going to schedule the emails proactively, and you can go review those emails before they go out the door, edit them if you like. But we're going to proactively go send those emails. We have our OCD mode where we are going to tee them up daily for you to go review. And there's a few options here. One, we can pipe them into the drafts of your inbox, or you can actually edit them within our platform and you can see the reasoning layer that came behind every single email. And then we have a sales engagement platform mode where you can connect your CRM, HubSpot and Salesforce, and we can pipe those emails into the CRM, and you can then use them however you please, right? You can either pipe them into a sales engagement platform like a SalesLoft, Outreach, a Gong, or you could put it into like a HubSpot sequence, or you could pipe it into a tool like Clay and turn it into whatever you want. So several options here for how to go execute. Now, let's shift gears here. Let's say we've launched a campaign and emails are going out the door. So after you launch a campaign, there's a few key things I want you to look at. So you'll notice you land on this campaign manager page, and you've got the ability to name your agent. So this is a demo agent that we have set up for this purpose. You can change the mode of that agent, and you have some options to duplicate that agent, stop the agent, delete the agent overall. If you stop the agent, all the follow-up emails that were going to go out the door get canceled. So I always encourage folks to potentially switch over to OCD mode first to just like gut check what they were seeing in those previews. But you have all the ability here to make edits. One thing that I want to focus on here is the assigned inboxes per campaign. So it's a hidden button up here, but it's very important that you go in and you ensure. So let's use Henry, for example. You'll notice I've got his active email address on this campaign. I go to this little gear icon, and I just want to make sure I've got account executive, and I've got his signature in here. This ensures that the email goes out with an email signature. I'll save that so it's ready to go. If there's ever any problems with the inbox, you'll see A, will email you, but B, you have this nice little banner that tells you exactly what might be wrong with that inbox. So for Henry's email address here, it's missing a sending permission, and he needs to go log in and reconnect it, and he can go click that button to go do that. Now, you'll see here, we generate number of hours saved, reply rate. This is all dummy data, but you can see because it's an OCD mode, we tee up tasks that you can go review within this workflow. So you can see those emails here. You can see emails that have been scheduled out. You can see emails that are sent. You can even see the threads where you're getting replies. One of the things that I like to note are the leads page. You can go in here and search for a lead. So let's use Jackie Lou. Jackie, there she is. So maybe Jackie Lou responded in another channel or opted out, and we didn't mean to put Jackie in here. You can go and remove Jackie from the campaign, and Jackie will no longer be in the campaign. Now, one of the things I'm always asked is, what if I want to go add more leads to the campaign? Well, you can go back to the instructions tab over here, and you can import a new CSV and add more leads. If you're using a Salesforce report, just ensure that you're adding more leads to that report, and we will dynamically pull that in automatically. So it gives you the ability to go edit the campaign once it's live. But overall, this should be everything that you need to be successful with an Aura campaign.